guys, M13 here. That's Brad in front of me running on his Ninja. He's doing pretty good. This is his first time ever taking his Ninja out in the daytime for a real ride. Normally, he's only owned it for like a month or two, and it's been raining a lot, and on the weekends it's always raining. So the only time he takes it out pretty much is either like on his lunch break and he rides around in the city, or in the evening and he rides around in the city. So it's his first time like taking his bike. It's pretty much his first time taking his bike out of the city during the day. And the topic of this video is memories. For those of you that don't know, my major in university was psychology, and I still find some stuff interesting. It's really interesting how, first of all, how selective our memories are. Like, there's so much that you don't remember, you know? Like, you have like whole years of school you don't remember, maybe teachers that you had for like a year, like the same teacher for a year, and then you look at a picture of her or something, you're like, who's that? You know, it's just I actually remember very little of my I remember very little of my childhood. So yeah, so memories somewhat interest me. But this is but every once in a while you'll get like these things that like unlock memories, like a smell or a sound or something, and it's just like, and then it unlocks a flood. And I find that so interesting. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's like, whoa. I have two instances of that, and then maybe you'll understand better what I'm talking about, and you see if you can relate. One example was I was playing Half-Life 2 Deathmatch, and at one point in the game, like and then it was a new map. One of the cool things about Half-Life 2 Deathmatch is the fact that there's like, every time you play, there's like new maps that you're playing on, so it's like a new game every time. Anyway, so I was playing it, and then there's this new map, and it was like a western map, like an old west, and then in the background, I'm playing this map, and then all of a sudden in the background I hear a train whistle. And it wasn't near, it was like far away. You could tell it was like a few miles away. It was just like background, and it just fucking like it struck me like a sledgehammer in the chest. It was just like, I stopped playing the game. I was just like, it unlocked a flood of memories, because when I was young, like maybe 8 years old, maybe like, I don't know, 7 to 10 years old for those 3 years or something, I lived in an apartment that was a few miles away from the train tracks, and I would regularly hear in the distance, especially like at night when I was lying in bed, I would hear this train whistle every single night in the distance, and I'd completely forgotten about it. And then here I am, like, you know, 15, 20 years later, playing a video game, and then I hear a train whistle that somehow, like, and I've heard plenty of train whistles in my freaking life, but the point, the key trigger was the fact that in this video game, the train whistle was the approximate distance away. Like, it had the sound of being 5 miles away, and I lived 5 miles away. So the fact that, so if a train were to go by and blow its whistle, it wouldn't trigger any memories, but a train whistle from 5 miles away would. Yeah, and it triggered all these memories of like that house, of what it looked like, what it's like, memories of me being a child again and living with my mom, and it just like, it was very emotional, and it was weird because I'm just playing this like shooter game, and all of a sudden I'm like sitting there crying and jerking off. No, I'm kidding. It was just emotional. And then another thing was, there's a guy on Facebook, and what was it? I was going through like my friends from high school's friends. Like, I was looking at some of my friends from high school, and I was going through their friends list trying to see if I could find any other of my friends from high school. And I came across this like one guy. His name's Jeff. And I actually asked him, do you mind if I use your name in a video? Like, and he's like, well, what? Video? What? He got all paranoid. But his first name's fine. So there was this guy named Jeff, and I looked at, I'm like, Jeff? And then I looked at his picture, and it just like, this was someone who he wasn't like a good friend of mine or anything, but he was a good acquaintance, and I remember talking with him a lot. But the funny thing was, I completely forgotten. I completely forgotten about this person. I didn't know he existed. I had no conscious memories of this person. It was just someone that was like invisible to me now that I'm an adult. And then looking at his picture, it was just like boom, and then all these memories of me hanging out with him, and conversations that we had, and just stuff like that. It all just like flooded back, and it was someone that, like, you know, a minute earlier I didn't even know existed. I had no memory of them being in my life whatsoever. And then I look at the picture, and then it's like, phew, just a big flood of memories comes back. And I found it so interesting. And I contacted him and told him about the experience and stuff, and he's like, yeah, who the fuck are you? No, just kidding. He actually remembered me. But yeah, I don't know. I find that really interesting, and you know, it'll happen. And then there's the fact, like, you know, as you get older, time speeds up. That's a scary fact, man, because it's like, as you get older and older, you have less time left, and then then what little time you have is speeding up. It's like, what the fuck? You know, you should be savoring the time more, and it should be slowing down, because you realize you're getting old and you're running out of years, so you should savor the moment, and then the time should actually last long. It's the opposite. It's just the years just fucking flick by. It's like I mentioned earlier, I lived in an apartment with my mom for 3 years, from like 7 to 10. Like, those 3 years seemed like a whole lifetime, you know, like 3 years, because I have like so many memories of that apartment, like, just like, I don't know, just it just. And when I remember living in that apartment, and like summer vacations and whatnot would seem so long. They would seem so. I can remember, like, by the end of a summer vacation, I'd be looking forward to going back to school, because the summer vacation just seemed to last so long. But, you know, like, but now as an adult, if I were to take like a 2-month holiday, it would just be like, it would just be gone in a fucking blink. 2 months would just. But a 2-month summer vacation when you're like in grade 3 is forever. And a 2-month holiday when you're 30 is nothing. It's nothing. It's weird. Anyways.